what were your key videos on YouTube where you would say, oops, there's something going wrong?
There were very large number. They started right at the beginning. The very first demonstration, that was big demonstration in Damascus, was in a suburb called Douma in Damascus. Now Douma is a lower working class and very lower middle class suburb. It consists of recent immigrants into the city, who are therefore somewhat more considerably more conservative, I would say, than the Damascenes. In the video, I noticed, first and foremost, this is the first time I actually noticed it, that the demonstration had started at a mosque. There was a big mosque there. Secondly, I noticed the people who were in the streets, and I realized that the composition of the people was not representative of the rest of Damascus as I knew it, or the rest of Syria. I had been in Damascus only 3 months earlier. The difference was that almost half or more of the women had their heads covered with black shawls and so on. The black color is also rather important in this. It's not simply your head covered. That the men all had Islamic beards and skull caps. And the other thing I noticed was that the shouting of phrases was right next to the camera and was in about, say, 40 or 50 voices, and no more. And that when the camera was showing people, they were looking up towards the camera because of the shouting, and they were looking up in inquiry. There was no procession there. These were people who had come out of the mosque. And there was this group chanting and shouting, and they were looking up at them. But the camera shows you a large number of people outside the mosque looking up towards the camera, and they say, great big procession. So the first time was that. The second one was in Hama. At this point in time, all the media abroad were writing that the Syrian government is killing its own people and shooting at peaceful protesters. In Hama, I saw a video in which 3 people, armed with revolvers and pistols, were sneaking up around the corner of a building on a tank that was placed there. And then, after they disappear around the corner, I start hearing pistol shots. So clearly, it was not a question. This was visual confirmation of what I've just told you earlier, that this is not a one-way street, that there was fighting going on from both sides. That does not mean that the state had not started the thing, but it does mean that this was a war going on now. The third thing that showed me this was that this is the most terrible thing of all. And I can quote many, many more, but let me tell you this one. There were 18 young men standing in a line in the first half of a video, and they were all reciting their names, saying, I'm Askari such and such, Askari such and such, meaning I'm private soldier such and such, private soldier such and such, giving their names. They were wearing ordinary clothes. One had a Coca-Cola shirt. One had a blue shirt with horizontal bands on it. The other one was wearing a green shirt. They were all looking terribly frightened. 1 or 2 were kneeling in front. The next part of the video shows all of them dead. And close-ups. Nice long video with close-ups. In the close-ups I found that all of them had had their throat cut. The video had been uplifted with the story that these were private soldiers of the Syrian army who had defected to the rebels. And the Syrian army had counterattacked and had killed them in revenge. Well, one simple thing that I know is that no army can spare the time to individually catch 18 people after they've already caught them and they've got the guns in any case, and then catch them and individually cut their throats. It takes a hell of a lot of force to hold a man down while you're doing that. You need 3 or 4 people per person, and it needs time, and the Syrians have not done this. But this has been a standard way. It's the cutting of the carotid artery is the approved way of halal killing. God-approved killing is by the cutting of the carotid artery. It's halal. And it's completely Islamist. We've seen this in Algeria, we've seen this in Pakistan. This is absolutely something that I'm familiar with. Now, so this was quite clearly nonsense. These people had been killed by the jihadis themselves. They could have been people just picked up from the street. They could have been soldiers from the army who had been captured, but that's what was done. Another video I saw was of in Hama also. It was overrun by 500 or 600 jihadis who attacked the place, and they overran police pickets and army pickets there. Then they killed everybody, and they killed 300 people. And these videos showed these people. Their hands were tied behind their backs. Their throats were cut. There was blood all over their front. They were the corpses, and they were being thrown over the river, the bridge of over the Orontes River. Great cries of Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And the Western media published a story saying that these people, that this is being claimed, but the opposition says that these people had defected from the Syrian army. So when the Syrian government recaptured Hama, they killed them in this way and they threw their bodies over. I don't rule out this possibility, and I have no individual knowledge, superior knowledge, except that little bit of circumstantial evidence that really no army which can simply shoot a person goes to the trouble of not shooting them and cutting their throats. Okay, but other than that, so I don't have personal knowledge. What point I'm trying to make is that these issues that I'm raising should have been raised right from the start by the media persons, who should have said, we cannot get independent confirmation, but this looks highly suspicious.